What is going on, everybody? It is the Naughty Investor here, and I have a lot of news to cover in today's video, so make sure you stay tuned, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you share the video and leave a like. Now let's get into the news. So first up, in the biggest headline I think for cryptocurrency is Facebook wants to explore blockchain technology. And this article is on futurism.com. All the articles I have for my sources will be linked in the description. So let's get into it. Facebook is diving headfirst into blockchain. Recode reports that social media giant is creating a team dedicated to blockchain, headed by former Messenger lead David Marcus, who also has experience at Coinbase and PayPal. So Mr. Marcus does have a lot of experience in the tech world. Marcus later confirms his shift in a Facebook post. But so far, no one is quite sure what it means, what Facebook is actually up to here. Are they making a cryptocurrency that will rival Bitcoin? I don't think so. Or are they just adding blockchain to the laundry list of things they say they will do, like Long Island Tea Company did, which the Long Island Tea Company story was a tea company put the word blockchain in their name and they got a ton of more stock appreciation, I guess. And that was kind of just, you know, a thing that the media used against cryptocurrency investors, like, this is a scam, this is just all hype. But again, one example doesn't mean anything. I mean, yes, is there speculative money in cryptocurrency? Yes, but that doesn't mean that cryptocurrency all is speculation. There is inherent value in cryptocurrency, okay? So let's get down a little bit more into it. We rounded up the best and a couple of the worst predictions for what Facebook is up to, okay? Facebook is getting ready for the day when blockchain is a crucial part of the internet. Now, I actually think this is the most likely of the causes, okay? This or number 2 is the most likely. Number 3, I don't think is very likely, but we're gonna go into that. Facebook has done whatever it can to prevent people from using other services. It's purchased dozens of other companies, either to acquire their IP or to keep its audience from even having the choice to go elsewhere. So Facebook's strategy is always to buy other competitors and keep the market cap to themselves. Some of these include Instagram, Oculus VR, and WhatsApp, plus some other services you might have not heard of, such as check-in service Hot Potato. And whatever it can't buy, it's copied. From video chat apps to disappearing stories eerily similar to those offered by competitor Snapchat. If and when blockchain becomes integral to how we regularly use the internet, and I do think it's not an if, but a when, I do think blockchain is going to become the framework of the internet. Facebook will want to make sure it doesn't get left behind a potential competitor. You can't own the blockchain, but you can make sure your platform has a better grip on it than most. That's true. You can't own the blockchain, but you can make sure that your website and your infrastructure is properly ready to integrate with the blockchain, if you will. So that's the first prediction from this website on what it is. I think that's the most likely. Next up, which I think also is pretty likely, is Facebook wants to make everyone's data blockchain level secure. The recent Cambridge Analytica scandal didn't cause the mass exodus from the platform that some thought it might. But the public is still skeptical of Facebook and how it handles all of our private information. One of the big selling points for blockchain technology is that it decentralizes all the information held on it, keeping it out of any one organization's hands. So again, this is the distributed and decentralized nature of blockchain. There's no one point of attack for a hacker. If a hacker wants to get information, they can't just go into one point of attack because it's distributed and the information is widespread, okay? But these two things together, some people have speculated that blockchain social networks or integrating blockchain into how Facebook stores our information could make our data much more secure. I agree, it definitely could. But Facebook has all sorts of financial incentives to continue storing and selling data. It doesn't make too much sense for the company to, stop making Scrooge McDuck levels of cash. Also, distributing your private information over a blockchain ledger means that the information goes to everyone else on the network instead of right to Facebook. That is true, however, the information could be encrypted, okay? So I just want to add that in there. Even with sophisticated encryption, they go into that next, that keeps your data secure, it would essentially be out there forever. That is true, but if it's encrypted, it doesn't matter if it's out there forever. And if you delete your Facebook account, you still can't retroactively scrub your data from the blockchain. So that is the immutability aspect of blockchain technology. That once it's on there, it's on there. So I do think that could be alleviated with smart contracts, but I'll save that for another video. Now, the last thing, and I don't think it's very likely, even though it's kind of a fun story, is Facecoin. Oh yes, Facebook could make its own cryptocurrency. Facebook has dabbled in digital currency. The company used to offer credits that turned its on-site apps into a sort of arcade. So maybe it hasn't quite given up on that ghost yet. Facebook could even end the charade of trying to create meaningful interactions and incentivize people to stay on the site by rewarding successful posts with a tiny chunk of cryptocurrency, as Wire speculated. So this is kind of like what Steemit does a little bit, or like what Minds.com does, where good content creation gets rewarded with cryptocurrency. I don't think this is likely, but it's very possible it could become an experimental part of Facebook. Like they offer like an alpha or a beta later this year or next year, and they'd kind of do like a experimental where it's the whole site doesn't integrate to this, but they just test it out with a few thousand users. That's possible. I don't think it's likely though. But yeah, it's definitely something that's possible. What seems like a more natural fit for Facebook though, cryptocurrency trading integrated with Facebook's growing marketplace. It could fold in trading features to its existing Facebook payment features, which would immediately bring cryptocurrency to the fingertips of a huge proportion of the world's population. Heck, it might even get our parents into the crypto train. This might not be all that likely. David Marcus is still involved with Coinbase, which is an easy-to-use trading platform. I don't really consider it a trading platform. It's more so that you could just buy cryptocurrency on it. They don't really have a lot of technical indicators that you could use, but it's great for beginners. It's great for beginners. So it's unlikely that Facebook would endeavor to make a competitive product. So what they're saying here is that because David Marcus, who is going to be on board of this Facebook experimental program, because he's on board with Coinbase as well, it's unlikely that he's going to help Facebook create a competitor from another company that he owns. So I think Facecoin is the least likely. I think number two, that they want to make everyone's data blockchain secure, is somewhat likely, but I think the first one is really the most likely, is that they're getting ready for when blockchain takes over. You know, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, when blockchain truly is becoming the infrastructure of everything, cloud storage, everything on the internet. You know, there's DTube, decentralized, you know, social media platforms, everything is going to be based on blockchain. It takes time. It's not built overnight. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, but it does happen over time. That's how technology takes hold of things. You know, when HD TVs first came out, they didn't just come out and everyone got one. They slowly kind of integrated, and then what happened is content producers started making HD quality content, right? It's weird the way technology works. It's a slow but steady pace. It doesn't just rapidly come in and change everything. Usually, if you look at smartphones, when the first smartphone came out, not everyone had it. Everyone, you know, yes, the early adopters did, but a lot of people still had flip phones. And then over time, as they got cheaper and they got easier to get and more applications for them, they moved on to smartphones. So that's the story for Facebook. Now I want to move on to the next big story, is what Bitcoin whales are doing. They are stashing their fortunes in underground vaults. And this article says you shouldn't. I don't know if you should or shouldn't. That's a decision for you to make. Cold storage vault service Xapo is hoarding more than 10 billion worth of Bitcoin. Wondering how to secure your precious cryptocurrency future? A number of Bitcoin investors are locking up their loot in underground vaults across the globe to prevent them from being stolen. Xapo, which I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I really don't know. How do you pronounce that? Xapo, I don't know. And it's a Hong Kong-based company that provides Bitcoin wallets and cold storage services. Now holds close to $10 billion worth of Bitcoin in its vault, Bloomberg reports. That's roughly 6% of Bitcoin's current market cap being stored by a single entity, making Xapo one of the largest cryptocurrency storage services on the planet. Xapo is one of the first companies to capitalize on the security concerns associated with storing Bitcoin, which have been rampant pretty much since the virtual currency's inception. This is true. A lot of hackings, you have to be careful. I always recommend to my subscribers or to a client or to just a fan of mine or just anyone, a basic investor, always diversify your holdings. Never keep all, if you have Bitcoin, never keep all your Bitcoin or all your Ethereum or all your Litecoin or all your crypto in one spot. move it to different places. That way, if one is compromised, you're not, totally, destroyed. In fact, the first major Bitcoin theft of 25,000 Bitcoin worth $231 million in today's market price can be traced back to 2011 when Bitcoin was worth $19. I bet you wish you got in at that price. Zappos clientele had the option of locking away their cryptocurrency in one of its vaults located in undisclosed physical locations across 3 different continents, guarded by biometric locks and armed guards. So this is like some futuristic stuff. This is like some sci-fi stuff. Like there's these underground likely vaults guarded by like dudes with guns and biometric locks. Like you're gonna have to go and like scan your finger and scan your eye and stuff, and it's crazy. The private key to a customer's wallet is stored in these vaults, and access is granted to the user only if their identified has been established beyond doubt. The shortcomings with the usual wallet services force cryptocurrency holders to turn to such extreme methods to store their valued investment. Now, I'm wondering how much the fees for this are and if it's really worth it. For a smaller investor, I don't think so. Maybe if your net worth is millions and millions of dollars, that's different, but just if you have, maybe $100,000 in Bitcoin, I wouldn't recommend it. Exchange wallet services offer the simplest user experience, especially for frequent trading, but they are the worst when they come to security. A number of exchanges have lost significant money of their users to hackers, including the biggest one is Mt. Gox, then Bitfinex, then Poloniex, Bitstamp, and Bitfloor, but Mt. Gox is the iconic one. Online wallets are considered to be a safer choice, but even they are vulnerable to phishing attacks and compromise of private security. So the problem with online wallets, and this happened recently with my Ether wallet, is where if you go to the website and you go to log into your wallet, or say it's an exchange, you go log in, sometimes what's called a DNS hack, where a hacker basically takes advantage of their DNS, and it'll trick your computer into going to their website, even though it looks like you're on the main website. So you go to My Ether wallet, you think you're on My Ether wallet, but it's really all the data you put in is not going to them. It's going to a third party who's stealing your key. So that's kind of what a DNS hack is. It is worth noting that while Zappos services significantly improve the security concerns associated with Bitcoin storage, they kind of defeat the entire purpose of cryptocurrency. This is what I wanted to get into. And that is, with this, you're trusting a central entity to store your decentralized currency. It's kind of not a complete contradiction, and if you really have a lot of money, maybe it's worth it, but it is kind of like, what if their services are compromised? Then your Bitcoin could be compromised. Not to mention that if your Bitcoin is locked up, you can't use it as a currency. So, when you want to start buying things with your Bitcoin, you can't use it, and so that kind of also defeats the purpose. But going on, locking up your Bitcoin in remote physical locations doesn't exactly sound like the ideal way to secure a supposedly revolutionary digital currency. It takes upwards of 48 hours for your Bitcoin to show up in your Zappos wallet from the company's vault if you want to withdraw them. That is, on business days. You can wait. Your wait can stretch up to 4 days if you happen to catch the weekend in between. If you intend to further trade your Bitcoin for another cryptocurrency, there is an added wait and cost for transferring your Bitcoin to an exchange wallet. Now, the whole thing about the wait, I don't completely agree with that. I mean, yes, it's true that if it's a long wait, but most likely you're gonna not put all your Bitcoin in this if you were going to do it. Like if you had like $1 million worth of Bitcoin, you're probably gonna put, I don't know, maybe 800,000 into this, and then you keep a few 100,000 in a couple different wallets that you could use if you want to buy something. So I don't completely agree with that. It's kind of a straw man argument because no one's saying they're gonna put everything into this, but it's still just something that the author of this article wanted to put in. Now, Zappos services are meaningful for hodling Bitcoin for long term like you would gold and might suit major investors, but for people who hold smaller investors or those who like to trade their cryptocurrency, day traders, swing traders, the services are less than ideal. Both the costs incurred in the transactions and the time you will take will make it too high for it to be viable. Zappos' solution to the Bitcoin security problem is not efficient for mass adoption, and better solutions need to be figured out. This is true. I think the entire project is cool. I think it's good for big investors, but I don't think it's the solution to the security problem of hackings. And again, I think if you're worth a lot of money and you have a lot of money in Bitcoin, maybe you take this service on. If not, maybe you just, if you just do what I advise. You keep a little bit in your Coinbase, you keep a little bit in your private wallet, a little bit in your paper wallet, a little bit in this exchange. Don't keep a lot in the exchange unless you're, the exchanges are good if you're doing trading, but I would never keep more than a couple $1,000 in the exchange. I really wouldn't, just because you're trusting a central institution and those are, prone to failure. Now, let's get on to the last story for today, and that is Bill Gates. Bill Gates said, I would short Bitcoin if I could. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are kind of a pure greater fool theory type of investment, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates said on CNBC's Squawk Box. I agree, I would short it if there was an easier way to do it, he said. Gates added someone once gave him some Bitcoin for his birthday, but he sold it a few years after. So, look, I have some respect for Bill Gates. I have some respect for Warren Buffett. They are good investors. Of course, Bill Gates not just an investor, he's a businessman, same for Warren Buffett, but they are, investors, and I think they're the old guard. I think they don't realize how revolutionary cryptocurrency is, and I don't think they're going to fundamentally understand that until we have more mass adoption. Now, what Warren Buffett said is he said that because Bitcoin doesn't produce any sort of income that he's taken away from it, he said it's an unproductive asset. Now, it is true that Bitcoin doesn't produce anything like a company. That is true. Neither does gold, neither does silver, but people still own those. But here's the reality. Even though Bitcoin doesn't produce anything like income, it does produce something. It produces efficiency. It produces security. It adds value. So when it comes to buying something, investing in something, there's a couple different ways to look at it. One is, does it produce income, right? You buy a $100,000 home, you rent it out, and it produces you $1,000 of income per month. After 100 months, you have made your money back, right? Assuming that's all profit. In long term, you'll probably make money on that home. Same thing for a stock. You buy a stock, it pays a dividend, and it appreciates in value, and you make money on it. It's kind of the deferral of gratification. However, that's only one way that things are worth something. The other way is it adds value to something, right? It adds efficiency to something. That's where cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin come into play. They are a technology that fundamentally changes the way we interact, we exchange data, and we exchange information with each other, or we exchange value with each other, okay? And look, these guys, as smart as they are, they're not right about everything, right? Bill Gates commented in the 90s that computers and the internet are not going to fundamentally change the way consumers use it, and he was dead wrong about that. So you definitely take what they say with a grain of salt. I respect them. I think they're great investors, but they're wrong on cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency's value is what it does, and it increases efficiency, increases security, it decentralizes things, and does a lot of other things too. But again, I don't want to get into, well, this cryptocurrency does this one does that. There's a lot of different cryptocurrencies that all have specific niche applications, which is why I always preach diversification, owning multiple kinds of cryptocurrencies. Own a privacy coin, own a transactional coin, own a protocol, own something that you could do smart contracts on, own a couple of things, invest in a few ICOs that are good ICOs. So even though, again, I respect them, I don't agree with them. Just because you're not producing something literally like an income doesn't mean it doesn't have value. The value comes from the fact that it will be used and it will increase the livelihood of those who use it and those who adapt it. Gold doesn't produce anything, but gold's still pretty damn expensive. So definitely don't agree with them there, but that's the news for today. What do you guys think about any of these news stories? Comment your thoughts below. Do you think Facebook is going to launch a face coin, or do you think they're just going to be using getting their services ready for the blockchain architecture? Do you think that the Bitcoin whales are stashing their fortunes in underground vaults? Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think that it's a little bit of a defeating of the purpose of cryptocurrency? And if you're a Bitcoin whale, are you going to do that? Also, what do you think about Bill Gates saying he would short Bitcoin? Another thing I forgot to mention is you could short Bitcoin. You could. So he's wrong about that. I mean, I would short Bitcoin if I could. You could. I mean, that's been around for, I think, December. You started being able to short Bitcoin. So maybe he's just not in the loop. He is getting a little bit older there. He's a smart guy. I'm sure he has a lot on his plate, but I think he needs to look a little bit deeper into cryptocurrency. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a really great day. Hope you enjoyed the video. I don't want to just cover any news story. I like to kind of aggregate it for you and kind of pick and choose the most important news stories of the day and kind of piece them together in today's video. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.